Well, tell me about BREA. Okay, so BREA, it's a soccer team, football team based out of Italy, you said?
Yeah, so BREA Holdings is an Irish holding company that's listed on NASDAQ under that ticker you mentioned, BREA. And underneath it is the first ever Italian football team, we'd call it soccer in America, to go public on either NASDAQ or the NYSE. It's called BREA FC, BREA Football Club. It's the team of Milan. It's second, and first and second teams are Inter and Milan. Both have billion-dollar valuations, and BREA comes third in terms of awareness and recognition. And BREA has pioneered a category called social impact soccer. So the BREA team, which plays at a near amateur level in the seventh division, is composed of unemployed, homeless people, students, refugees, immigrants, boat people that come together in this rainbow roster to play a game where the tagline is making friends, not millionaires. Okay. There is so much evil in the world of football that's epitomized by, various groups. There are so many villains out there. BREA is the hero. BREA is the standard for how you can do things right. So you have this made in Italy brand that now is being exported, like many other great things coming out of Italy, elsewhere. So you're going to see BREA show up on teams in other EU markets, other EU countries, small ones. David, these are small countries: Andorra, Liechtenstein, Gibraltar, San Marino, Macedonia. And you're going to see BREA, as it's been disclosed in the IPO prospectus and subsequent updates, acquiring teams, sponsoring teams, and at the first division level, if they can win their country, they can go to a UEFA tournament. They can get very interesting prize and appearance money. And you've also seen BREA create a team in Mozambique, in East Africa, to create a farm system, a feeder system, to bring players into Europe and to perhaps transfer them around to other teams. So it's quite a model. It's quite the rage. This has been in the blood and the DNA of BREA for 2 decades. And all of a sudden, it's really cool to be an MCO, a multi-club ownership team. And that's what BREA is.
So how many sports teams are there listed in the market? I know like the Anaheim Angels, for example, and I think there's a basketball team or the Cincinnati Reds, maybe. I don't know. There's a few teams listed,
Not
but like,
many. The most famous one is the Green Bay Packers football team.
uh-huh.
Next would be Manchester United, a soccer team or a football team out of England. Those are the mainstays. It's very rare that you see publicly traded professional sports teams or publicly traded sports teams of any genre. So this gives an opportunity to a company like BREA for investors at street level to be able to participate in the upside of that particular sport, of that particular industry.
I got you. So what got you involved with this, and when did it begin? When did your okay? So were you part of the team beforehand, and you decided, okay, why don't we list this, or why don't we, bring more teams into the mix and list it, or how did that come
Yeah,
about?
it really comes back to my relationship to Italy. So I'm an IBMer. I'm an Italian by marriage, even though I'm an Irish guy. And I've been going to Italy for 40 years, longer than you're old. And what's occurred is I developed relationships. I've done business there. And about 30 years ago, I met the guys who started BREA 20 years ago. And I was having dinner with them in Milan a year ago, December. And I said, what's going on with this team BREA? Oh, it's doing great. We've really carved out this space. Everybody thinks it's awesome, social impact. And I said, well, we should list it on NASDAQ. And they said, no way. And I said, watch me. So we went about it, took us around a year, went through audits, legal structurings, put together all the right assets, protected intellectual property. And next thing you know, in January of 2023, we're ringing the bell on NASDAQ. And we've now used the platform, like perhaps many of the companies that you interview and follow, David, to be a more attractive acquirer. So buying teams, using shares in addition to cash has been a very, very solid calling card. And we've also seen the spread of this multi-club ownership model, which has been in the DNA of BREA for, a long time, suddenly become fashionable. So it's kind of neat when you're at the intersection of timing and opportunity, which is where we find ourselves with BREA today.
So how many teams is BREA like acquired by now, the company or the stock, and like how many do you look to have in the future, like all under one umbrella
So
or
we've entered into a binding letter of intent to acquire our first team, which is in North Macedonia, Academia Pandev. and it's owned by a legendary Italian football player from North Macedonia called Goran Pandev. We've disclosed that we're pursuing those geographies I mentioned previously. So we have advanced discussions or letters of intent to acquire teams in Andorra, Gibraltar, San Marino, and we built one from ground up in Mozambique. So our projection is that within the next 6 months, we'll probably have between 4 and 7 teams that we either own, operate, or sponsor from various parts of Europe and throughout the world.
So it's like a holding company?
That's right. It's a holding company for MCO, multi-club ownership. So the holding company is the list company on NASDAQ, and underneath it, you're going to see various other clubs and companies that own those clubs as subsidiaries.
I see. Do you think this is going to become, let's say BREA becomes a success, you're going to have like a lot of American teams try to model it, or, you know, more? Because I always wondered why like the teams aren't listed. Because I know there was a couple of them listed, like you mentioned, Manchester United and the United States. We have a couple, but why aren't more teams doing that?
I think you're going to see more of it, David. But to answer your question, just like when you've been involved with a company that listed on NASDAQ, you know, the phone rings, people suddenly notice you. So people call you and they want to buy you. People want to sell you things. In our case, they want to sell us their teams. And, you know, you got to be discerning and you got to weed out, you know, the opportunities that make sense from the ones that are just noise. So, number one, the response has been incredible. We've heard from teams around the world, primarily in Europe, but around the world, that would like to be part of this model. They really like the NASDAQ platform. And some of them have called and said, well, gosh, if you don't buy us, can you help us go public too, like you did? So I think we're spawning creativity from people who have watched what we've done. And they've said, gosh, I wonder if I could do that too. And some of them might be appropriate acquisitions for us. Other ones might not meet our criteria. But nonetheless, the phone continues to ring. We have a large pipeline of interest from potential targets.
So I know that like soccer or football is really big all around the world. In the US, we have other sports that are more popular. But so the people that buy the stock, are they like fans? Or are they looking like to make, you know, profit as well, but also be a fan? Almost like you know, recently there's like, so you can buy fractional shares of like an art piece, or fractional shares of of uh yeah, all types of things. And but
Yeah.
people buy it because like nostalgia, or they want a piece of it, or something, as well as it appreciates. But like, what kind of people or what kind of investors look to buy uh shares of like BREA, for example, or sports teams?
Yeah, so at BREA, our initial backers in the pre-IPO and those that subscribed to the IPO were high net worth, ultra high net worth, private client, family office type investors. So they were not institutions, they were not large organized funds, but they were people that related to the message of social impact soccer. The fact that we go into prisons and conduct leagues, the fact that we go to technical and trade schools for the children of immigrants and help them learn how to play soccer and football. The fact that BREA, which is a place name for the Beverly Hills area of Milan, it's kind of the rich area, the high rent district, that it resonates, and it's a really cool message. So I think the allure of being a part of something with the social impact has been incredibly strong. But now we're starting to move into financial investors who say, you know what, this multi-club ownership model, that's pretty cool. And then we're going to move into strategics who say, these guys are onto something. You don't have to own a team in France or Spain or England or Germany, you know, the major soccer markets in addition to Italy and Europe, to be consequential. You can go into these tertiary geographies and you can do quite well. So I think that's really what's behind driving our investor base, which again started out high net worth individuals, moved into people who identified with the social impact theme. Now it's moving to financial investors who see the valuation arbitrage, the opportunity, and it'll ultimately end up with strategics and perhaps some institutions.
I got you. So BREA is the ticker.
That's right. BREA on NASDAQ Capital Market.
I got you. So you this has all been going on for a year? So you got
Yeah,
this
I'm
all done in a
executive
year?
chairman of the company. You know, I helped found the holding company with 2 other partners. I'm the third largest shareholder. And so in addition to my day job as an investment banker that we talked about earlier in the broadcast, I'm also executive chairman of the board of directors at BREA. And it's been a lot of fun. I've got to tell you, owning a football team, even at our modest level, has opened a lot of doors, created a lot of inbound, like I said earlier, and has confirmed that we're really onto something.
Gotcha. So I was in Italy actually in college. I went to study abroad in Vicenza. Do you know Vicenza?
Sure,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
So I
yeah. Come
remember
on.
yeah, it's a beautiful place. I mean, Italy's beautiful in general, but I remember they had like soccer teams playing constantly everywhere you go, like for dinner, restaurants. I couldn't tell which ones, but like how many teams are there in Italy, like professional teams, you know?
Yeah, so right now there's around 100 professional teams at all levels. You have Serie A or the A series, which is the top league, where right now the team from Milan called AC Milan, along with Napoli, the Naples team, are leading, and they're going into the Champions League playoffs now. Then you have Serie B. An example of that would be Monza, which is the area directly adjacent to Milan. And Silvio Berlusconi, who is the media magnate, the former president of Italy, he's actually created a team, put about $90 million behind it, and got it to Serie A in about 2 years. Then you have Serie C or C and D, and then you go down from there. But there's a team or more in every town, small, medium, and large. And Italy is among the most voracious soccer fans in the world.
Wow. Okay, good. Wow. So you got involved with all that. Were you into soccer before that? Like you said, you're Irish from the US.
For me, it's kind of like during the World Cup, during the Euro Championships, during the Olympics. You get up and you cheer for a particular country. You had England versus Italy in the Euros a couple of years ago, which was quite entertaining. Um, but I was kind of fell into that category. Now you got things like Ryan Reynolds with his Netflix show Welcome to Wrexham. That's been an incredible success. He and a partner went into Wales in some beat up Rust Belt city and actually town and bought a team, put a little bit of money in it, and now it's the coolest thing ever. So it's grown on me. It's evolved. I've gained an appreciation for it. I definitely see why it's the world's most popular sport, with basketball being number two, by the way. And as you pointed out in your Italy experience, you couldn't swing a cat walking around Vicenza without hitting somebody with a soccer ball. I mean, they're just
Yeah, yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. They're everywhere. Yeah, that's the sport over there. So, what has been like the feedback you've gotten from like locals and stuff? Have they been like, oh, they've been excited to, be part of investing in the company or all the activities you guys are doing?
They love what we're doing. And by the way, they've loved it for a long time. Again, the social impact aspect, us being a hero instead of a villain, us helping underprivileged people, us bringing this message to corporate sponsors who embrace it. I gave the example of we've conducted leagues inside of prisons. First, it was prisoners against prisoners, then prisoners against guards, then guards and prisoners together against guards and prisoners together. Now we're training prisoners to be referees and officials and trainers and everything else. So there's no end to what we can do, but we've gotten extremely, extremely strong uptake. Our earned media coverage in Italy is off the charts. There's a possibility of a mini series that's going to be done about what's been created here. So
Wow,
it's been a great response.
really cool to hear all that. And yeah, awesome. I want to be looking into BMEA, BREA, and yeah, looking out for other professional teams that you guys might acquire and be part of that. So that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, and David, by the way, we haven't ruled out other sports. There's some other very interesting sports in Italy and in Europe. So you may see us diversify in other sports. You may see us buy some teams that we leave with their own branding. We don't change it to BREA green and black like I'm wearing here today. And we just bring our business models, help to add value, and then perhaps another ownership group comes in after us. So stay tuned for some really interesting developments.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, hey, thanks so much for coming on the podcast and sharing all that. Really appreciate it. And yeah,
You
we'll
got it.
we'll touch base soon. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I know you got a busy schedule, David, and you got quite a following. So thanks for fitting me in. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care, Dan.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.